There are a number of folks that unfortunately have passed away since our last meeting. So at this point in time during the ceremony, I would like to take a moment of silence to fondly remember our founder and leader of the AFA organization. Ron Reel has left us 6 years ago in 2008, and boy, is he's missed greatly. And Seal, we love you to death, and all of your family. You can't think of Ron's name without saying the AFA, and you can't say the AFA without thinking of Ron. So in addition to Ron, we unfortunately have lost 4 other AFA members, again, since last year. L.T. Bonner out of Chicago, Bill Christie, our attorney, Greg Portzline, and Kenny Washington, unfortunately, have passed away. So if you could just bow your head in prayer for a second, we would appreciate that. Good, thanks everybody. A special thanks goes out to the Reel family. You've heard me talk about Seal and Rhonda and Ray Ellen this evening. Their sons, they have 3, or Seal has 3 sons, Rory, Mike, and Ross, and they have a printing company in the Chicago area, and they have very generously, at no real cost to us, printed your program that you have in front of you. And I'd like to just give a round of applause to the Reel family for all that you all have done. And before we start, I also want to thank Jan Arbubright, who's standing over there. You can wave your hand, Jan, for all your help. Cheryl Leland, Mary Lockhart, and Diana Ashcroft. Without these ladies checking you in at the table and running around for the last couple of days and getting everything done, we would never be able to pull off an event like this. So ladies, to you, thank you very much. All righty, with that said, I think we're ready to go. I know you all very excited about the upcoming inductees. The first inductee we're going to bring up is Bert Skeel, and Dennis McGilligot is going to be his presenter. And by the way, I know you all have the names on the front of your programs. When I was putting together the list in order, I didn't go by this list. I went by another list that we have, so you might have to pay a little bit of attention on who's going to be again on deck. Like I mentioned earlier, for example, on deck is going to be Gene Larson, and Roman Strazala is going to be the presenter. I know Gene is not here, but Roman, if you could be on deck ready to go, that would be great. So if Bert and Dennis could come up.
Thanks for the warning.
Enjoy it.
Oh yeah, I enjoyed this. Good evening. I didn't know I was going to be first. So yeah. Anyways, I'm here for my good friend. We call him Buck. We don't call him Bert. I knew the guy for a year. I didn't even know his first name was Bert. But he was a defensive player for the Cleveland Falcons for 20 years. And I'm an offensive lineman. But but we used to run into each other across the line because he would play anywhere. He would play linebacker. He thought he was a cornerback, but he wasn't. He would play safety. He was better. He was probably the best linebacker, and he'd fill in a defensive line. And all he did was hit people. He'd kill people. I mean, he would hammer people, and that's what he did. And that's where I met him. Across the line, like a bunch of everybody here met somebody across the line, and they became the best friends in their life because they were tough guys, and they were just great guys. They were good guys. and they were just and they became your friends for life, and he still is. And I'm glad to be here tonight to have him inducted into the Hall of Fame. It's like Buck Steele, who's my good friend.
Good evening. First, I'd like to thank Mr. Birch. Well, I'm starting off bad already. Mr. Birch and everyone else associated with the AFA. It's an honor to be here tonight. Thank you. I'd also like to thank Dennis, John Tishy, Paul Takich, who recommended me for this honor. I'm a very lucky man. I'm lucky because of the wonderful people who have influenced me in my life. I was born to the greatest parents, had the best friends, met and married a wonderful lady, and have caring, intelligent, and loving children, grandchildren, and friends, and family. I'm a lucky man because after 3 years on 3 different teams, one of my good buddies, Butch, said, let's go out for the best. I'm a lucky man because when asked, I can say I played 18 years for the Cleveland Falcons. I'm also very lucky because not only were my teammates terrific football players, but they were also excellent men who I'm very proud to call my friends. Can't see. Also, I would like to thank my teammates because without them, I wouldn't be speaking to you tonight. As Dennis said, I played defense, and we stood between the opposing team and the goal line. So my wife, one time when I was helping her in the kitchen, she analyzed my football abilities in this manner. I don't know if you were a very good football player. You just can't help it. You're always in the way. Thank you and good night. God bless. Thank you, sir. Thanks.
Our next inductee is going to be Gene Larson with Roman Strazala doing the presenting. On deck is going to be Larry Sally, and Greg Sally is going to be his presenter. Roman?
Thank you, Greg. First of all, I'd like to congratulate all the inductees and all the alumni past years. This is a great organization. I've been here for 12 years, so I'd just like to say good evening. I'm Roman Strazala, AFA class of 2002, semi-pro and proud. I'm also president of the Elmhurst Travelers Football Alumni Association, which is a charter member of the AFA. The Elmhurst Travelers were a semi-pro football team in Elmhurst, Illinois, 1927 to 1967, 40 years. No, I didn't play in 1927. So, Coach George Colton sold the team to the Rockford Rams in Rockford, Illinois in 1968. And like I said, it's hard to believe that it's been 12 years since I was inducted in this Hall of Fame in Canton, Ohio in 2002. I'm here tonight to present my Traveler teammate, Eugene Larson, into the AFA Hall of Fame. Mel Yarkey, 2009, Sim, Hendrickson, 2012, Larry Schmidt, 2008, Jerry Schrapp, 2008, and Chico Kane, 2006, are all seated around here, are all teammates of Eugene Larson. They were all teammates with the Elmhurst Travelers. Gene Larson played for the Elmhurst Travelers in the 1960s. Gino went to Leiden High School in Franklin Park, Illinois. Then he went to play football in Oceanside, California. A little better climate. Before playing, then he played with the Elmhurst Travelers in the Bi-State, Tri-State, and then finally the Central States League. Gene played in our Central States winning championship game in 1963. He also played in the 1962 Elmhurst team that went to Manitowoc, Wisconsin to play that championship game. After beating Manitowoc Chiefs 2 times during the year, we were all pretty confident. Well, you know what happens when you get overconfident. We got our tails kicked in. And, well, that still smarts to this day. And some of you guys out there might be with the Manitowoc Chiefs in the AFA, because I met them probably in 2004 or 2005, where they were really taking me apart. So Gene played tight end on offense and played some defense. And when George Colton, the coach, needed him on defense, he played defensive end. So Gene's stature of being 6'4", 200 pounds, made him a really easy target for our quarterback, Buzz Grady, who is also in the AFA Hall of Fame. Gene cannot be with us tonight as he just went through some extensive, unexpected medical issues. He had a defibrillator and a pacemaker put in a couple weeks ago and had some artery problems. So he is truly sorry he couldn't be here. We wish him Godspeed. And Gino, if you're watching this, congratulations from the Elmhurst Travelers Alumni Association and all the AFA alumni. Thank you.
Next up is Larry Sally, and Greg Sally will be his presenter. For those of you that might be looking at the program book, we profusely apologize to Larry. We mistakenly put his name incorrectly, first name incorrectly, and we also put him down as a coach instead of a player. But I think he can forgive us for that, and we'll have that all corrected. On deck will be Alex Larson, and his presenter will be Brent Brokenkircher. Thank you very much, guys. Come on, Greg.
Good evening, everyone. It's an honor to be here to induct my brother into the Hall of Fame, AFL Hall of Fame, I'm sorry. Larry, just wanted to let you know a little bit about Larry. Larry, when we were young, we lived on a hill. We played football every day on this hill, and it was in the street football. I'm sure some of you are familiar with that. And when we finally got a chance to play on grass, my oldest brother, broke Larry's leg. So we went home, and we went to dinner that night, and my mom asked where was Larry at. We had left Larry up at the field. So we took one for the gift of that night because we paid the price. But just to let you know that when Larry finally got home on crutches with a broken leg, he played every day on the field. You know, he came out and played street football with us on the field, even with the cast on. So this just shows you what type of person he is, that he loved the game of football. And it's an honor, for him and for me to be here and for me to present him to you. Okay.
Good evening. This is an incredible honor for me. It's come a long way, and here I am. First of all, I want to thank Dave Schminke. He started this for me. He found me on Facebook, and we talked football. He's a Cardinal. Cardinals are duly represented here tonight and at the AFA Hall of Fame. Dave got in touch with Steve Olt, who is also a member of the Hall of Fame, and Dave Bonsell, who is also a member. These guys, they did so much for me and got me here tonight. And I want to thank them. They're not here, but I want to thank them so very much for what they've done for me. I played football at Shepherd University in West Virginia. Ended my career there, and the first team I played for was Frederick Falcons in the IFL, because I still had a whole lot of football left in me, and I wanted to continue to play. One of the coaches at Chambersburg saw me play for Frederick, and he wanted me to come play at Chambersburg. And the first year I was there, I got invited to Ron Reel's first inaugural East-West All-Star game. I played in that game in 1981. One of the highlights of my playing career with the Falcons. We won the national championship in '82 with the Cardinals. That was another big highlight of my career. While I was with the Cardinals, we lost one game in 4 years. We were #1 ranked Pro Football Weekly for 3 years. As you can see up here, I had a hell of a career with the Cardinals and the Falcons. And I just want to say, all of my fellow inductees, we played for the AFL, the teams that we played for in the AFL. The reason why we play is because of the fact we love the game of football. That's it. And all of you guys, you're not athletes, you're football players. That's what you are, football players. And I'm proud to be inducted here tonight along with you. And I just want to say thank you to everyone. Thank you to the AFA. Ladies, for the T-shirts and stuff. Thank you. And just everybody have a great night. Thank you so much.
Yeah, 82, I played it.
Yes.
In the mud.
In the mud, yes.
Yeah.
Next is Alec Lawson, and Brett, you're going to be coming up. And on deck is going to be John Burns with Tom Hawkins as the presenter. Brett, come on up, buddy.
Good evening, everybody. I'm going to take the first 15 seconds of my 2.5 minutes and talk to all of you out there, because I still have this monthly moment where I put on this ring, and I still can't believe that I'm a part of this. Every single one of you out there and your families, and every single one of you out there that are watching on the webcast or will watch it later, and all those that are watching us from a different place, in a different way, make me very proud to be a part of this. This is the greatest thing that I'm a part of, and I'm really excited today to bring another great friend into this. So I'm going to talk about Alex. One of the lessons my dad taught me growing up was that one of the biggest decisions you'll make are the people you decide to surround yourself with. I can tell you in Springfield, Illinois, in the early 1990s, there were a lot of choices of people to surround yourself with. And there were a lot of teams that wanted to put a franchise there. There wasn't any football being played outside of universities from St. Louis to Chicago, and that's a 6-hour drive. There were a lot of promises being made. There were a lot of backdoor handshake deals being made. And there were a lot of people telling a lot of players exactly what they wanted to hear. At that time in my life, I decided to surround myself with people like Chris and Alex Lawson. These are people who their handshake was as good as their name on a dotted line. They told you what you needed to hear, not what you wanted to hear. And they served their country. Both of them are colonels in the Illinois Army National Guard. over the last 20 years, I watched them turn football into something more than a 3-hour game on every Sunday. I watched them help players find stable housing. I watched them help players find employment opportunities and even explore opportunities in the military that maybe many of those players didn't even know existed. I watched them make people better men. Today, last night I got out a pen and paper, counted 22 franchises that have either come and gone or are still playing football between St. Louis and Chicago that can draw their roots to our team through one player, one coach. They all came from the Springfield Bucks of the Capital City Outlaws. Alex was the general manager of that team for most of its tenure. Players get awards and coaches get interviews, but nobody's there to thank the guy who stands in the freezing rain and videotapes a game with an $800 HD camera that he bought so that guys could see their biggest victories and their opportunities for improvement in HD. Nobody's there to throw a party for the guy who goes out and gets $5,000 to $10,000 in sponsorship every year to ease the burden on these players for equipment, for fields, for referees, and for travel. So today, what I get to do is, with you all, give Alex something that probably hasn't happened to him in a long time, and that's a huge thank you, and it's the appreciation he deserves. So please help me welcome Alex Lawson.
Thanks. I don't know if I could follow that, but Dave, you've been great to me. Thanks for inducting me, as well as the AFA, from past and present. And I just want to tell you, it's truly an honor to be here tonight. Yeah, there's times that I hardly get recognition. There's because we put so much time in it. In fact, I have to give a lot of this credit to my brother Chris. He was the first one that was in there, and he said, "Hey, I need help." And so I came on board. Of course, I played for a number of years, and then, of course, I went player. Then I went to the executive side. And but I can tell you I value three things without a doubt, and that's my family, the military. By the way, I'm a full-bird colonel now. That's lieutenant colonel up there. and without a doubt, football. I'm not going to. Without a doubt, football is about stories. We met so many great people over the last 2 decades, and I thought Springfield was pretty big, and then it got a lot smaller. It doesn't matter where I went. If I went to a bar, a restaurant, hell, even New Berlin, which I wouldn't think I know anybody, and there's a player out there, or there's a coach, or there's a fan, and they'd recognize the shirt. And it just, like I said, Springfield got a lot smaller. But I'd like to leave you with a story. Because I know everyone who's sitting in this room right now has a story about when they played semi-pro football. And we were traveling a lot because we're one of the first teams in Springfield, and we actually had to either travel 3 hours north or 3 hours south. So during that time, we were playing on our home field. Can't even remember who we were playing, but all of a sudden, about 3 or 4 squad cars started pulling up to our team, and I'm like, what the hell is going on here? And then come to find out one of our players is actually taking off all this his equipment. So we weren't really paying attention to him. Then the cops come up and said, I won't mention his name here. I'll just say the first name, Terry. Where's Terry? No, he's right over. He's nowhere to be found. And of course, then they're at us like, "Are you aiding and abetting a known felon?" I said, like, "A known felon? I don't even know why you're even here in the first place." And so we're trying to deal with it, and they went looking everywhere. And I mean, they looked in the back seat of cars, front seats, you name it, they looked, and after about 20 or 30 minutes, they end up telling, if you tell him he needs to turn himself in, and they actually left. And so, and then after we finished the game, it was actually Chris's truck. He has a big GMC, and we're throwing stuff in the back of it, and all of a sudden you hear zzz. You know, those big old equipment bags, there pops out Terry. He says, "Hey, are they gone, Coach?" He's like, so, and there's 100 million more stories, but and we even think about writing a book, but I tell you, that's about, I remember more about the stories than the games themselves. So, again, thank you all for this great honor.
Girls, can we get some more of those hooks, possibly? Because I know they want to take some pictures over there. Our next inductee is going to be John Burns. His presenter is going to be Tom Hawkins. On deck is going to be Daryl McCaddy with Hal Lockhart as his presenter. Tom, come on up.
Good evening, guys. I'm here on behalf of Mr. John Burns to introduce him. I'd like to thank everybody that's here today, and great brotherhood, and be glad to be part of the 2012 when I was inducted. So get a chance to help another guy here. So on behalf of John Burns, this guy was born to play football. His head's shaped like a football when he came out in birth. John started playing football at 6 years old for the Mundelein Packers. Moved up from that, went to Mount Carmel in Mundelein, Illinois. Played his high school career there. Started as a sophomore on the varsity level. Moved out of that. Had some opportunities to play college ball. Decided to serve our country as thought it was his duty to serve as a Marine. So he went there, and he was one of the first guys in Kuwait there. During that stint, John was awarded the Medal of Valor for his service over there. So not only is he a great man, he serves on both ends. Also, John, since 1998, has been a police officer. He's serving us with the K-9 unit and other aspects of the police department. John's stint in semi-pro started out in 1992 with the Lake County Knights. And after that, in 1993, started his career with the Lake County Chiefs for a tenure of 20 years total of semi-pro football. Had a couple chances to play with a couple national teams with the Chicago Chargers and DuPage County Eagles. Last year played in 2009. After that, he decided to try his hand during that career to do some coaching with arena ball. Yeah, I was owner and operated 3 different arena teams. During his career, John had a great career. He was inducted several times as an all-star member, had played 304 games, completed over 1,500 tackles, 18 interceptions, 174 fumbles, 100 which he recovered himself with 12 touchdowns. John was the captain most of the time during that career. For the last 5 years, he's been coaching semi-pro football in the Ironman Football League with the Suddenly Blue Devils. He's still highly active. I know his wife Nikki, his mom and dad Angie, and his dad John are very proud. They can't be here today, but I wish they were with him. He knows that. And at this time, it's proud to introduce Mr. John Burns of Brotherhood, a great man, my friend, my teammate, John Burns.
It's a little hard getting up the stairs nowadays. I'd like to thank Tom Hawkins for that intro there. I'm trying to figure out which guy he's talking about right now because it didn't sound like me. Basically, my 2 minutes I want to spend, and I want to thank everybody here. I mean, I'm in the presence of great company right now. And I thought to myself, I need to write down this speech, and I need to talk about these things or talk about these different things that mean a whole lot to me. And basically, I sat there last night in the hotel room, and I thought to myself, what am I thankful for? I'm thankful for this, the camaraderie that I found while I was playing football. It was another camaraderie that I found while I was in the Marine Corps. Okay? Everyone sitting in this room, for the most part, I'm going to say pretty much everyone in this room understands what I'm talking about. My wife, my lovely wife, Nikki, and my beautiful daughter, Caitlin, they understand. They sit in those stands and they watch us play. They watched me play. Those days are long past me now. But like I said, I want to thank everybody that's here that means something to someone else. Whether it's a wife, girlfriend. You sat in those stands out in that rain. You watched us play the game that we love. To the people that are sitting here that are my fellow brothers that played the sport that I love, I want to say thank you for being a part of my life. Whether I played against you in those long years or not, you're still part of my family. And I will hold you guys dear for my heart. This is a moment in my life that I will soon never forget. And I thought 2 minutes, well, that's going to be a quick amount of time, but I'm up here talking and talking. So what I'm going to do is I want to thank some certain people. I want to thank, obviously, Tom Hawkins for bringing me to this level and having me enshrined into the AFA Hall of Fame. His wife, Dorothy Hawkins. They're currently with the team that I now coach with. Wonderful people, and I want to definitely thank them. I would like to thank my lovely wife and my beautiful daughter in the back row. Go ahead and wave. That's them. They pretty much are my fashion coordinator, so if I don't look good today, it's their fault. Okay? And then, most of all, I'd like to thank my parents. So, my dad just recently died of cancer. He's up there right now. Watch. Anyway, I didn't want to do this, but I had to say thank you. One last thing. I noticed that they brought a lot of the referees that used to ref my games here today. And, you know, Mr. Cho is one, right down here in the front row. So I was worried that they were going to kick me out of this event. So, but I'm going to leave you on that note. And like I said, God bless y'all, and thank you very much.
Hey, John, this one's for your dad, isn't it? Isn't that great? It's all for him. Congratulations. Our next inductee is Daryl McCaddy, and he's going to be introduced by his quarterback, Bob Urachek. And then on deck is going to be Steve Bailey, presented by Mike Galileo. Come on up, guys. No. You're better looking anyway.
Oh, well, thank you. 2.5 minutes. I will try my best.
2 minutes.
First, I'd like to take a second to introduce myself. My name is Bob Urachek. I've been associated with the Virginia Ravens football team for the last over 20 years. First as a player and then as a coach. Today, I stand before you with the honor and privilege to share with you a little information about one of the most prolific players to wear the Virginia Ravens uniform, Mr. Daryl McCaddy. Daryl arrived to the Ravens in the summer of 1993, straight from his tryout with the San Diego Chargers. One of the first things that I've noticed about Daryl was during our passing drills, where his talents reflected a higher level of play and knowledge of the game. Spanning his 14-year career with the Ravens, Daryl was primarily utilized as a wide receiver and a kick return specialist, where he excelled at in college. As the seasons passed, he was called upon to play other positions, both sides of the ball. Free safety, defensive back, holder, slot man, and even quarterback, where he scored from every single position he played. At the time of his retirement in 2007, he had become an integral part in helping the Ravens to numerous division and conference titles, 4 league championships, and an Eastern Football Alliance national championship. He had many, many accomplishments during his career. He had been honored by the Mason-Dixon Football League each of his years as a player, and 6 years recognition as an American Football Association All-American. Numerous individual game records, such as most receptions, yards, and touchdowns, and season and career records, such as most receptions, touchdowns, and yards. Also, longest punt return for a touchdown for 90 yards. Not going to bore you guys with any more stats, I promise. Anyone who has known Daryl throughout his semi-pro career, and there are a number of them present here tonight, may say he will not only be remembered for his achievements, but for some of his memorable sayings, and I'm going to paraphrase a couple of these. I am a bad man. I can't possibly be beat. You cannot stop me. You can only wish to contain me. And while talking, he talked to defensive backs quite often. While talking to defensive backs, one of his favorite sayings was, "You'll be able to spell my name by the end of the game." I am the greatest. I have the gift of grab and the gift of gab. Some say you can define a person by how his peers perceive him. So last night, I asked a couple of his peers, what words would you use to describe Darryl? Successful, outspoken, talented, champion, student of the game, dependable, tough, smart, fast, smooth, crafty, and cocky. So, with all of that in mind, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you to a person who has been referred to as the Jerry Rice of the Mason-Dixon Football League, my teammate and friend of 21 years, at 6 foot tall, 160 pounds, pound for pound, one of the toughest wide receivers to play the game, the Virginia Ravens' all-time leading wide receiver and kick returner, Darryl, Mr. Excitement, Big Daddy McCaddy.
Thank you. Thank you. I'd like to thank the AFA first. Also would like to thank God. I have to say this story. When I first came to the Virginia Ravens, I met Miss Lockhart. And I said to her, I said, the reason why I'm here is I'm trying to get back to the pros. So she said, well, that's fine, that's fine. I said, but I'm not going to be here long. I said, so, you know, if you're going to use me, utilize me. She said, yeah, you come out here and play. Hal Lockhart, he's a nice guy. You know, he's going to give you an opportunity to play and you can show your talents. I said, that's all I want. But I also said, now, if I am here, if I fall short of that goal and can't get back to the pros, I'm going to break all the records that you have. And so she said, well, hey, that's a tall order for a small guy like yourself. And I said, well, this is what I do. I said, this is what I do. So as Bobby was saying, I say those things on the field as far as to boost my confidence and to be successful, to get into the mind of the defensive back or the defense's psyche at a game. But the real portion of me for the game that I want to play is the love of the game, the love that I have for the game. I've always loved the game. No matter, like as he said, no matter what position I played, I wanted to be the best at whatever it was, whether it was wide receiver, defensive back, quarterback, holder, whatever else I played. I always wanted to be the best at that. So football gave me a sense of a strength, sense of confidence in the real world. And that's what it was about for me. I was always an undersized athlete. You know, you always hear you can't do this, you can't do that, you're too small to do this, you're too small to do that. I heard it in high school, heard it in college, all throughout my life. So I said, when I had this opportunity, had an opportunity to pros, that didn't work out the way I wanted to work out. But when I came to the Virginia Ravens, I said, hey, here's another opportunity. This is what I have to do. But I got an opportunity to meet people who didn't even have that first opportunity I had. And here I'm trying to get a second opportunity. So I met people who love the game. I mean, they really love the game. You're out there 2 and 3 days a week. You got to work your personal job. You got to pay bills. You know, your wife at home is crying about this hasn't been done. You got to fix this. But you made sure you got to that game on Saturday. Regardless of what she was saying, you made sure you made it to that game on Saturday. And with that being said, the sacrifice of the people around us when we played the game is, I think, is something that's missed. And that sacrifice is what propelled me to excel on the football field. I always wanted to be successful at it, so I did everything I could to master it. Whatever I had to do to beat you, I was going to beat you at it. I really think that if it wasn't for God, all things are possible through Christ. I know that's going to happen for you. I did get another opportunity at the pros, but as you see, I played 14 years, so I wasn't there for long. So I was right back with Mr. and Miss Lockhart with the Ravens. But the main thing that I got from it was strength and to play another play. And that's what we do as semi-pro players, is you play another down. You get knocked down. I got laid off jobs. I was still playing football on Saturdays. It was just helping me to succeed in life. So if there's one thing that I learned, I'm sure some of the other inductees have spoke about it, is perseverance. Perseverance and the camaraderie of all the people that you have to play in this league. So I appreciate it, and thank you, and thank you, and thank you.
Our seventh inductee is Steve Bailey, presented by Mike Galileo. And on deck is going to be Mike Myers, and Tony DeMarco is going to be his presenter. Come up, guys.
Oh, this is wonderful, being here with my family again. It's an honor for me to introduce Steve Bailey as a former friend, or former teammate and friend, to the American Football Semi-Pro Football Hall of Fame. I've known Steve since 1974 when he joined the Metro Maulers, and now we once again are teamed together as members of an elite group of athletes recognized for their individual accomplishments and their contributions that they have given back to the sport of football. Steve began playing a position which was previously held by one of the all-time great linebackers and current Hall of Famer Dave Fleck. Steve had some big shoes to fill. Unlike the Dick Butkus style of his predecessor, Steve achieved greatness through speed and agility. He could diagnose plays quickly and delivered punishing blows to ball carriers, as another inductee tonight could testify, Joe Hall. His accomplishments speak for themselves. Steve played in 8 championship games over 17 years. In 1991, while playing in a bowl game versus the Racine Raiders, injury finally sidelined this great athlete. Stephen's not only a tremendous friend of mine, he's also a great mechanic. He's also a loving husband and a great father. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce Steve Bailey.
I wrote this down because I'd be too nervous to remember it. Thanks, Mike. I'd like to thank the American Football Association for this honor. It's the thrill of a lifetime. I'd like to thank my family for all the support they've given me through my football years. My brother Tom, who's still here tonight supporting me, my son Steve, my daughter Nicole, for all the sacrifices and all the support they gave me through the years. Most of all, I'd like to thank my loving wife, Terry. She supported me the most and sacrificed the most. For a woman who didn't like football when I started playing, she sure is passionate about it now. I often laugh when she's yelling at the players on TV, and she says, "Oh, I was always like that when I watched football. I just never knew it because I was the guy down on the field she was yelling at." My mother often told me how my father was very proud of me. And my one regret is that he's not here tonight, God rest his soul, to see this, because he'd be very, very proud of this. I can remember one game when a torrential downpour broke out, and all the fans in the stands ran for cover, and up at the top of the bleachers at Old Bleecker Stadium was one man, my father, standing there in the pouring rain. I'd like to thank my teammates through all the years that I played with, because as everyone in this room knows, football is a team sport, and no matter how great the individual is, without a team you can't be successful. I'd like to give a special thanks to my teammates that thought I was worthy of this award. Mike Galileo, who I played 8 championship games with, Dave Fleck, who was my mentor and my coach for over a decade, and Tom Manny, who's not here tonight. But I give a little extra thanks to Tom because he played defensive tackle right in front of me, and he was the guy taking on all those blockers so that I was able to make the tackles and get my name on the PA. When Mike called me and told me that he nominated me for this award, I looked into the Hall of Fame and saw on the roster a lot of names that I knew. Names like Dick Leland, Pete Quackenbush, Terry Gorton, Mark Reel, John Martin. All formidable adversaries I had faced on the field. One name on the list that I had a little extra personal history with was Frank Yannick from Scranton. In 1982, I was playing for the Tri-City Giants and Frank for the Scranton Eagles. In making a tackle on Frank, I tore a bicep tendon from the bone in my left arm. A few years later, I was playing for the Albany Metro Maulers, and Frank was still in the backfield for Scranton. Making a tackle on Frank, again, I ruptured a bicep tendon, this time in my left arm. That led my wife to coin the phrase often before I went for a game, don't stick your arm out. And that's just what she said when I was preparing for a game, to leave for a game in Racine, Wisconsin. Well, I stuck my arm out, and I tore ligaments in my right elbow. Doctor looked at me at halftime and said, "Oh, I think we can tape you up and you can play the second half." I said, "Doc, I'm 35 years old, and I went in way more times than I should have. Thanks, but I think I'll just sit this one out." So I stand before you battered and broken, but also humbled and honored by this award. Thank you all very much. And look, honey, I can stick my arm out and we don't have to go to the hospital tonight.
We have two more inductees before we take our break. So our 8th inductee is Mike Myers, and his presenter is going to be Tony DeMarco. Tony, come on up.
Good evening, everybody. This is quite an honor for me. But before I get started, Mike, there's one thing. If I had known you were going to ask me to do this in front of a portrait of Joe Montana and not Terry Bradshaw, we'll talk about that later. 39 years ago, I walked down to a football field in Albany, New York as a Pop Warner player, and I met this gentleman. So my perspective on Mike and Mike's legacy is going to be a little bit different than some of the other presenters that come in front of you tonight. One of my first memories of being a player was the year that Mike and Dave Fleck brought down the national championship trophy that the Maulers had won and paraded around the field like we had just won it as players, 12-year-old kids. It was a tremendous, tremendous honor to share that as such a young guy with Mike. And then you progress through your football career, as we all know. Left my Pop Warners, went on to high school, but stayed in touch. One of the things I took from the years I had with Mike was I knew I wanted to coach someday too. He just instilled a passion in everyone that he touched on the football field that you really can't put into words. But all of you who've ever played, you understand one thing. There's a reverence and there's an awe that comes with the word coach. It means something to players, and it means something to people who coach the game as well. And I was a 21-year-old kid, came back from the service, and my sister picked me up at the bus station, took me home. I didn't even unpack my duffel bag. I said, "I got to borrow your car." She said, "Where you got to go, Anthony?" I said, "I got to get down to the football field. It's August, and I know Mike's down there coaching kids." And I went down, there because that field, to myself and everybody who ever walked through it under Mike, it was home. it was home to all of us. And Mike's legacy in this game isn't just what he did on the football field, but it's the 4 generations of people who came after him and coached as well and gave back to the game because we learned it the right way from Mike. And tonight, I can honestly say to you that it's one of the most humbling moments of my life to be able to say to you that I'd like to present my friend, my brother, and my coach from years ago, Mike Myers.
I would have got up here with Tony, but Dave didn't check the live load on this platform. Thank you, Tony. That was great. It's difficult to put 35 or 40 years into perspective in 5 minutes or so. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before I get going here, I'd like to acknowledge and thank Dave Birch, his entire staff, the committees, the AFA as a whole, especially my fellow inductees, for this recognition and consideration given to me, and to the Pro Football Hall of Fame for providing this venue for such a wonderful evening and great event. Thank you all. Also, to everyone outside of my family that has either traveled or is watching this live to be here with me tonight, I offer a heartfelt thanks to you all. It means a lot to me, and your presence either way makes a big night even bigger. I know there's a time limit on this, and I'll do my best to honor that, but at an occasion such as this, there are certain people that have to be properly thanked. Outside of our families, we have all had special people or mentors in our life, people whom we've confided in, that we trusted, and people who made a difference to the way we thought and acted. Ultimately, they are people that help shape the way we live our lives. Tonight, I would like to highlight just a few of the many people in my life that should share a piece of this Hall of Fame honor, and at the same time, a couple of my most outstanding career Hall of Fame moments. First, there's my high school football coaches, Ted Wolfstitch and Bob Weaver. In 1966, as a freshman in high school, I made the junior varsity football team. I was young, ambitious, and full of fire. My ambition was not to be a, but the running back in high school, and I expressed this to Coach Wolfstitch almost daily. Every time I said that to him, he would say, "Get out of here and go over with the offensive lineman." As I remember, it started out kind of polite, but by midseason, apparently, he had had enough. He pulled me aside one practice, and as I see it now, told me that my first Hall of Fame moment had arrived. I was going in to play fullback, and after a brief conversation, he sent me into the huddle with a play. My heart was racing as I gave the play to the quarterback, and then I realized I had no real idea what I was doing. But it didn't matter. I did know that I had the ball. So when we broke the huddle, my adrenaline was really pumping. All too quickly, the ball was snapped. My arms were positioned. I felt the ball as it came into my midsection. And just as I'm about to make that first great move, all I see is a wall of defensive players. Suffice it to say that while I was being coached for my big moment, the offensive line coach was telling our linemen not to block anyone, and the entire defense was being teed up for the kill. Talk about gang tackling. I think even the team manager came out and kicked me in the cleats. Thus began, in earnest, my career as an offensive lineman. Coach Weaver caught wind of my running back legacy in my varsity years, and now on the all too rare occasions that we see each other, we still sometimes tell that story. His ending to the story remains that I would have made a lousy running back. Of course, my end to the story is with that first great move, I would have scored. To this day, both coaches are friends and old mentors. Fast forward to 1974. I'm a greenhorn ironworker apprentice, and on my second or third day on a new job, I see this guy walking around. He looked like he just swallowed broken glass and wanted to wash it down with gasoline. There was intimidation in his eyes. His football neck started at his earlobes and ended at his shoulders. The look on his face seemed to say, "Go ahead, I dare you." And I immediately thought, make friends with this guy. He'd be good in a fight. Well, that mean-faced, iron-jawed guy is here with us tonight and is himself an inductee into this Hall of Fame, Dave Fleck. I spent 8 years playing for and coaching with Dave, and without any hesitancy, I can say that Dave Fleck is directly responsible for me starting my semi-pro football career, and for coaching me in a way that compelled me to continue to give back to the game for over 25 years through Pop Warner football. Our 40-plus year friendship alone is testament, excuse me, our 40-plus year friendship alone is a fine testament to the game, but it endures mostly because of the mentoring qualities I mentioned in my openings and a very long and very inebriated conga line through the streets of Troy, New York. Also, I give Dave credit for another Hall of Fame moment that propelled me into the light and put me on the fast track to be here with you this evening. It was at a practice where the local TV stations were there to do an in-depth report on the team and coaches, including action video. So Dave had this plan to let the cameraman put me and a teammate on TV by filming us live blocking the two-man sled. We were to just fire out, hit the sled, get back into position. Simple, easy, basic. So we set it up, got into position, and on the whistle, we really hammered the sled. So much so that I didn't notice that my rusty, weather-beaten side of the sled didn't bounce back into position. And just as I tried to regain my stance, the sled spring let go, the pad shot out, and hit me with the same force I gave it. Literally, the sled knocked me backwards. I just laid on the ground mortified with my eyes closed. That Academy Award performance only made the cutting room floor, and Dave got a big kick out of calling me the sled for the rest of the season. I'm happy to share a piece of this with you, Dave. But without any doubt, my semi-pro career would have went nowhere without offensive line and player coach Mike Robochik, who, by the way, was the whistleblower in that infamous sled drill. Mike had, I would fairly say, an unorthodox style of coaching. He certainly has a dry sense of humor, and if you're hanging out at the hotel bar later on, he can belt out blue suede shoes like there's no tomorrow. But please know this, Mike Robochik is the real deal. And throughout the football career that I've enjoyed, all to his credit is my being Offensive Lineman of the Year, achieving all-league status, and winning championships more times than many. I sincerely doubt that I'd be standing here tonight without Mike's coaching, guidance, and friendship. Thank you, Mike. I share a piece of this with you. To my wife, Diane, and my 3 sons, Michael Joe, Mikey, and Clayton, and to my big brother-in-law, Rick. I know all of this will be over tomorrow. The room will be empty. The banners will be taken down. All the football war stories will have been relived and replayed, as well as all the hands will have been shaken. But I will still and always have you, and I want you all to know that truly you are the wind beneath my wings. And of all the awards and honors that may come my way, they pale in comparison to my life with you. I love you all very much. Finally, I accept and share another piece of this honor with every offensive lineman, especially all of my teammates during my career, past and present, inducted and not. This honor does not sit lightly on my shoulders. I know full well that only by sheer determination and bold choices is there ever a spot in this hallowed hall for an offensive lineman. For us, there is no leading the team in rushing, passing, or receptions. For us, we don't lead teams in tackles, interceptions, or fumble recoveries. We just move the team. Ours is really a game of inches, and after many a mile has been played, we can look back and only then might we see what we've done. So I accept, and I will guard this honor on our behalf. I will uphold all that it means, and I will cherish this night for the rest of my life. Thank you all. May God bless you.
Our ninth inductee is going to be Pat Killeran, presented by George Ashcraft. And once Pat's inducted, then we'll take a 10-15-minute break, do some auction items, let you all take a break to the bathroom, and so forth. So we'll come back after George talks. Hey, George.
I'd like to start by echoing what a lot of people have already said by thanking Dave Birch, the Real family, and everybody that's here this evening, past, present, and there's probably people sitting here that will be in the future Hall of Famers. A special thank you to my wife. She's put up with me for 41 and a half years. The story that I'm going to tell you relates to both her being married to her when I was a 17-year-old and her putting up with my first year playing ball as an 18-year-old with Pat Killeran, the man that we're going to get inducted here, as my defensive tackle in front of me as an 18-year-old, making being a middle linebacker very easy. He was a great ball player. I met him when I was a 13-year-old kid. In the summer months, I worked mowing grass and stuff for a mutual friend. The guy made me shut off my lawnmower to shake hands with this. He was a giant to me, just a huge man. I'm a ninth grader going into school. This man played professional football. His career in professional football had ended, but he was resurrecting the red and black team that I've been coaching for the last 24 years. But I come around the side of the house that day, and like I said, he was a giant. He was an idol. Everybody in our area knew who Pat Killeran was for everything he had already done in football. I shook his hand, and the man that I worked for said, "You two will play football together." I didn't get it then, but I was just in awe of Pat Killeran. I went home, told my mom, "Oh man, you wouldn't believe who I met today," and it didn't mean anything to her because I got 11 brothers and sisters, and football was the last thing she wanted to hear about. But I'll be darned, my very first day with red and black, my good friend, Pat Killeran.
Boy, it's very hard to follow that last speech. It was excellent. Reading the bios of the inductees tonight, it's a very large honor and privilege to be part of that team. And I want to congratulate the class of 2014 Hall of Fame inductees. And because you've worked very hard to reach your goals and to reach goals personally and reach goals for the team. And speaking of team and teammates, I've always been a firm believer that there is no I in team. Okay, so I'd like to thank the AFA for this very special recognition tonight, and also ask that you also give lots of glory to the following people. My teammates, the red and black, a long time ago, young men who had, as this gentleman said earlier, worked hard during the day. We had 4-day practices, 2-hour practices, ran a lot of different drills, Oklahoma drill, all the other drills. We worked very hard to get in shape so we could play well against our competitors. They sacrificed a lot, and they're one of the main reasons that I'm here tonight. I also would like to thank my dedicated coaches who worked very hard at trying to understand my unbalanced line offense that I got out of Syracuse and did a great job. We ran the unbalanced line because it's a tough, hard-nosed power football game. And we only had a quarterback that couldn't throw a very long ball, so we had to throw a lot of short passes, so we ran that. And it worked out real well for us, especially on the short side. I'd also like to take the time to thank the 12th man of the Watertown Red and Black, our wonderful fans. When we started football back then, I don't know how much you folks draw, but we were 35,000 people in Watertown, New York, and we were drawing somewhere around 5,000 fans a game. We filled the high school field, and they were very vocal and very supportive, and it was a wonderful benefit for us. I also want to give a very special thanks to my wife, Mike, over here. And also to the wives of all the semi-pro football players out there. Those ladies made many personal sacrifices as both parents and spouses, giving up family time on weeknights and weekends so we could play the game that we love. They're very special people, and I want to give them applause right now. My mom's name was Vera. She was a great fan. She was also one of those fans that would stay up in the bleachers during rainfalls, and she was always known as Kill the Quarterback Vera. She was a tough lady, and she was a great lady, and one that I loved very dearly. She's up in heaven with my dad now, and I'm looking down, and they're very happy. And I'm saying that they're happy that they have a friend like George that runs a wonderful program with the Watertown Red and Black. You can get a more dedicated coach or a more dedicated person to the AFA than George. So thank you, AFA, for all of that. And I just wanted to put together a final thought of tribute to my 2014 inductee friends. You've all said mostly what can be said today, but I want to talk about something that a great coach once talked about, and it was the coach was talking about the traits of a great football player. And desire, as you know, is one of the biggest and probably the most prevalent traits that you should have as a football player. And I think this covers all of us here and all of our families and all of our loved ones who watch us play. It says, desire is the determination to overcome an opponent, whether by delivering a solid block or by shaking off the blocking attempt of an opponent and going on to make the tackle. Desire is a state of mind, as that one gentleman said earlier, an abandonment of self, a form of courage, the joy of mixing it up. It is doing one's best, calling up whatever reserve power is available, and never quitting. It is playing both for oneself and for the team's interests. It is the exercise of a determined will, flowing from one's competitive spirit that drives one to achieve his goal. And it's a belief that he can do what he has been asked to do, and that football is a sport that helps to build it. Thank you again. I really appreciate it for Dave and the AFA. This is an unbelievable honor for me. And I've had the fortunate opportunity to play with a lot of great players. And I'll tell you what, guys, this is right up there at the top. Thank you again. God bless everyone.
All righty, why don't we give one more round of applause for the first 9 inductees into the AFA family.
I was just going to make an announcement about that.
Dave's going to make an announcement, but this is going to be a break here. But before you break, you want to stick around for the boss. He's got something to say. But we'll take a break here. We have 9 more presenters and inductees to come back with. I've got the time of 9:21. Why don't we be back in here at 9:35, no later than 9:35. Again, we've got 3 auction items to go over. We want you to spend some time with the apparel folks, sports memorabilia. Again, don't leave before Dave talks to you, and then don't forget about the 50-50 raffle. Dave?
Steve just alerted me that we have 300 viewers watching the webcast, and there's no telling how many eyeballs. So Steve, if we have some folks that want to give a shout out to their families, can they go back to the camera and you can give a message to the folks that might be viewing you? Okay. So thank you.
Good.
Okay.
Dave, anything? Anything? No? All right. All righty, let's go ahead and honor another 9 wonderful new inductees to the AFA Hall of Fame. Up next is going to be Bob Gringas. His presenter is going to be Jordan Kopech. And on deck is going to be Dave Powell with Skip Poole presenting. Jordan, come on up.
Well, you just told me I had 1 minute and 12 seconds because we had some guys using 29 minutes in their talk. But being an old college professor, I've never been short for words. Like John Wayne said, talk slow, talk low, and don't say too much. Well, I'm proud to introduce Bob because he comes from a different direction of this football. We spend so much time on the players, so much time on the coaches, and there are people who did play and did coach, but they go off and they do something else. What they do is make it work so the players can play. Make it work so the coaches can coach. Because without people like Bob, there would be no players, there would be no coaches, and there would be no teams. And when we think back, and I think back, this is going to be my 63rd season of playing and coaching. So some of you want to know about a dinosaur, here he is. And I've seen a lot come and go. And I've seen a lot of personalities. Each generation have different personalities. I went through the flower people. I went through and coached college football after Jimmy Carter had our big depression then, and everybody got involved in becoming better of what they could do. But the one thing that remains is who's going to stand up and be counted and put that team on the field and allow people to play and allow people to coach. Bob Gingrich.
I was sitting on my couch in the fall of 2006, and I get the 4th call from Michael Batista. And he says, please come and take over our football team in the IFL. I said, what is the IFL? It's semi-pro football. I said, semi-pro football? What is semi-pro football? And I thought to myself, I love football. And my wife's not home this time, so I can say yes. And it's the best thing I ever did because I felt excited. The blood was pumping. I was going to take over a football team. I didn't know how to do that yet, but I knew it was going to be exciting, and I knew it was going to be a challenge. I knew it was going to be a struggle. And everyone talks about the championships and the wins and the accolades, but there are tough times in semi-pro football. When you're trying to put in a new program and you get opposition from the veterans, when you're trying to get a stadium for the first time with the city And the city is saying semi-pro football? We don't want semi-pro football in our town. And you go through all those struggles. And then you go through a 3-time overtime loss in a championship game in the mud and rain in Milwaukee. And you know what loss is. You really feel loss with a fumble in your own end zone. And so you overcome all of that. And when you do that, you find out who the real people are, who your real friends are, who you can count on when you have that terrible loss, or who's going to be belly aching behind your back. And you weed those people out. And you stick with the good people. And you build, and you build, and you build. And I was lucky. Things fell into place for me. It's not because I'm that good, believe me. I had a great head coach, Adam Smith. I had great players, and I'm not going to belabor you with all the names, but they're in my hearts. And that's what's important with all of this. The relationships that you will have for a lifetime. That's why we're all here tonight. And some of us are old and gray. I'm not going to tell you how old I am. But that's why we're still here, the relationships. And I will value that always. I want to thank my wife, Sarah, for putting up with a whole hell of a lot. And my daughter, Haley, my team, my players, and most of all, my staff. The people that don't get paid much, that do all the hard, thankless work to make the program run. To let the players play, to let the coaches coach, and for me to somehow get inducted into the Hall of Fame someday, which I would have never imagined. And here I am being honored by being introduced by a living legend, Jordan Kopak. What could be finer than that? And I want to thank everyone for all of that they did, because it wasn't me, it was them. Thank you.
All right, next inductee is Dave Powell, presented by Skip Poole. On deck is going to be Doug Coleman with E.L. Grayo as a presenter. Skip, come on up.
It's good to be here tonight. I thank God for allowing us to come together and be a part of one team. I want to thank Dave Birch for recognizing my present team over in Poland, the Opole Wolverines. They are watching in tonight as we speak. I want you to know that I've been part of this great game for 42 years, and as a coach, as a player, everyone knows as a coach, putting a team together is like piecing a puzzle together. When you have a masterpiece that you can use to help build that puzzle, it makes that effort a little bit easier. I don't talk a lot about stats. I don't talk a lot about honors. I talk about what's in the heart. Football is no longer a game to me. It's a way of life for me. As I said, I've coached overseas. I've coached here in the States. And of all the people that I've had under my tutelage, this young man stands out the most. Not because of the stats, not because of the honors, but because of his heart. And he's got true character. That is very important. To have a player that comes to you and will do what you need to be done. As a fullback, he was fearless. He didn't run east and west. He ran north and south. He tried to run over you. But he was a gentleman. He's always been a gentleman. He's got a lot of integrity. But as a defensive linebacker, a strong side linebacker, he'll rip your arms off and try to beat you to death. But after the game, it's like that, hey, that's just a game. That's just the way I play the game. And he reminds me so much of me when I play the game. And he has left a lasting impression on me. When wealth is lost, nothing's lost. When health is lost, something's lost. But when character is lost, everything's lost. Character is what you are. People like to confuse reputation with character. Reputation is what you want everyone to think you are. Character is what you are in the dark. And this young man personifies character all the way. He is just one of the most field integrity-wise football players that I've ever had the honor to coach. I'd like to introduce you to David Powell.
Thank you. I promise I'm a better football player than I am public speaker, so bear with me. But I remember there was one team we were playing. I'm not sure exactly who it was, but quarterback. There's nothing better for a linebacker than to, for a quarterback, take a long five-step drop, and you're on a blitz, and he's looking down the field, and you can just crush him. It just brings joy to a linebacker. And I remember one game that happened. This poor guy, I just felt bad for him, and I had just killed him in the backfield. And I reached down there and I grab him and I help him off the ground. And I go over to the sidelines. Coach is like, "What are you doing helping him off the field?" You wait to be nice to him when the game's over, But I want to start off by thanking my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, who, if not His hand in my life, I would not be here today. Galatians 6:14 says, "May I never boast except in the cross of our Lord Jesus Christ, through which the world has been crucified to me and I to the world." So I want to start off with that. There's others that have sacrificed a lot for me to be here this evening. I want to mention those individuals now. To the world's greatest mother, I thank you for the years of driving me back and forth to practice, for always being my biggest fan on and off the football field, and for inspiring me to love and serve others as you have loved and inspired me and served me. For my dad, thank you for investing in me in every possible opportunity, for teaching me what it really means to be a man and how to take life's choices and be responsible with those choices. For driving 20 hours just so we could spend time together on the weekends. And making me and my sister always feel like your number one priority. Alan, thank you for being a father to me. Never trying to take the place of my father, but always treating me like a son, your own son. For taking me out in the yard and teaching me the fundamentals of linebacker, teaching me how to play with reckless abandon and having a nose for the football. And also for pushing me out of my comfort zone when I needed you to, teaching me what it means to have good work ethic. I thank you for that. My high school football coach, Robert Garman, for always expecting 110% out of every play. For spending every moment he had in the weight room during summer, not really taking any time off to spend time with his players, to prep his players for the upcoming season, and milking me for every ounce of talent that I had. And I'd also like to thank Coach Poole for giving me the opportunity to play for the Chattanooga Steam, for fulfilling a dream of playing football after college. And I can tell you, this man has the gift of encouragement. And out of all the coaches I've played for, he knows there's no one that I think cares as much about the game or cares as much about his players than Coach Poole. I'd also like to thank the American Football Association, Dave Birch, and the selection committee for believing that I'm worthy of an honor such as this. And we'll finish, I guess, with and last but not least, I want to thank my wife. That's why I have a speech up here, okay? So I don't miss any important stuff. That would be in a real bit of hot water. But for knowing my faults and for sticking beside me every step of the way, for being my soulmate and my best friend. We're actually celebrating 14 years just this last weekend, so it's been an amazing journey. And a word to the Hall of Fame class of 2014. You guys are all champions on the gridiron, and you're also champions in life. You're part of the family. We're all part of a family now. We're all brothers, and I hope that this is the beginning of a really long relationship that will continue for the rest of our lives. And appreciate it. Thank you.
Dave, we had a divorce attorney, a lawyer back here. We'll be sending him home now. We were kind of looking at you. Our next inductee is Doug Coleman, presented by E.J. Geho, and then on deck will be Brian Smith with Dave Clapham as the presenter. E.L., come on up.
First and foremost, I want to thank God for the blessing of my family and my special friend and his family, Doug Coleman, his mother, his 4 sisters, and his relatives that made the trip. If I don't cry, it's going to be a miracle. First of all, it was 18 hours, 1,106 miles from South Louisiana to come here. Enjoyed every bit of it. Tonight is the icing on the cake. To start off by just telling you a little about the history of our town that Doug lives in. A population of 200 people. We're landlocked. Plantation on the west, plantation on the east, the mighty Mississippi on the north, and the bayou country where the alligator people you see on TV, that's the south of us. And we enjoy, I know Troy Landry, he's a real actor, and everything you see is for real. Doug Coleman started playing 8th grade. Well, he started Pee-wee football, really, like 6th and 7th. He started playing varsity as an 8th grader. He was a 5-year letterman, 2-time All-State in football, most valuable player. He led the state in offensive passing. He also did the same thing in basketball, 2-time All-State basketball. Great athlete. Showed up on time, never complained, gave 110%. He was there when the team won. He celebrated when he lost. He was still the Doug Coleman with the beautiful smile that his daddy, who was watching above, had that gorgeous smile. Doug played 10 years of semi-pro football. Doug coached for 4 years in semi-pro football. Doug volunteered as a coach at White Castle High as a quarterback coach in 2010, and we won our first state championship in 2010. The young quarterback that Doug coached, is now playing first string safety at LSU. So that is wonderful. From a small town with 2,000 people population in the city limits, one stop sign. So thank God I hadn't gotten in a wreck. I thank him for that traveling grace for getting here. This has been one of the greatest honor ever bestowed upon me. As an old country boy with I reckon you say a minimum education, high school education. But I'd like to pass one thing on, that Doug Coleman is not one of the best. He is the best high school athlete, being a 70-year-old person, I've ever seen in high school. I now present to you who is Doug Coleman, which the city of White Castle High, the parish of Iberville, and the state of Louisiana is very proud of. I present you Doug Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Gale. Thank you. First and foremost, I want to give thanks to God because I'm definitely out of my zone right now. But I'm glad y'all laughing. Second of all, I want to give thanks to my father. And his words was very simple. He was standing 6'4", and he would tell you, if you're going to do a job, do it right. If you're going to take the garbage out, do it right. And that stuck with me a long time. So when I got into my career, I played ball, I did everything and got the glories and all that. But it wasn't about me. It wasn't about me. I was having fun, but I look at the people that stood behind me and stood up behind me and cheered. I played this game because I love this game. I love the game of football. I played arena football for 10 years. I also coach arena football. But let me tell you a story. I played college football, I came home. Now, what I'm going to do? I'm sitting in mom's house. Mom got rules. Monday morning, look, are you going to look for a job? I was like, Mom, just give me some time. Tuesday morning, are you going to look for a job? I said, Mom, give me some time, I just got here. So, a couple weeks passed by. I'm hearing the same story every morning. A couple weeks passed by, and I run into one of my teammates, and he's like, man, look, it's a semi-pro team. I said, man, you kidding. I forgot about the job. So I started playing semi-pro, and I would tell her I'm going to look for a job. I get up early in the morning, I go work out. I come back home, I said, look, I filled out a couple of applications, and I'm just going to wait on them to call me. And I did that for some years because if you guys know, you don't play ball, you don't play college football, and now you're trying to find out, look, I wasn't ready for the rest of the world. Now, I have football in my blood. So I'm trying to figure this out. I said, man, I need a job because, now I'm asking my sisters, I'm like, give me $20. We got to pay the referees and we got to do some things. So I only need a couple dollars to eat. And we did that for a while, and then I started going to the trials, and a couple coaches like me, I ended up playing arena football, and it got a little better. And I had my own money a little bit. And it got easier. And I watched my family come closer. My sister, I'm the only boy, 4 girls, so y'all can imagine how that was. And it was rough for me. It was rough for me, but I stayed with my family. I look back at my family, and I played arena football, and I went all over the country. And then I started, but let me back up. Before I went all over the country, I met a lady. Her name Melissa. And at that time, I still was struggling with the job situation. And I ended up having a son. And after I had the boy, I was like, man, I got to take care of this kid. So I got a job at a chemical plant, Dow Chemical. I was a contract worker out there. And the story goes like this. I got a phone call while I was at work to come play arena football in Tri-City, Washington. I said, man, I'm going to Washington. But I hadn't told nobody yet, so I'm saying I just got this job. And I went home, I said, babe, these guys called me to come play ball. And, it's still in my blood. I'm trying to see what I'm going to do. So before she can say anything, I called the guy back. Look, I'll be up there. I'll be up there. And I respect that lady. I give all praise to her because she took a lot, because I would go play ball in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. You guys, you really don't know. I would go play ball before I go to work. I was going to play ball, and I love the game. I respect the game. I enjoy this. I really appreciate you guys. I think my time is up. I appreciate it, man. I am so happy to be here. I'm so happy to be a part of you guys. I enjoy this. You know, I look at my family. My family from Louisiana is here. And guess what? My mom is here. Mom, stand up. I love you. I love you. I love you. Melissa, stand up, because they need to know who I was talking about when I left it. I left the job to go. That's my wife. Hey, man. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. I am so happy.
Boy, I'm glad I don't have to follow that. That's yours, pal. Brian Smith is now up, and Dave Klepsman is going to be the presenter. On deck is going to be Jose Rodriguez, and Dave's going to introduce him as well, so he can just stay up here. So, Dave, come on up.
Craig, I've got, as you said, 2 guys, so you need to double that 2 minutes you've been giving me, and maybe
4 minutes.
4 and 30 seconds to say my thank yous. Good evening, everyone. I'm Dave Clapham. I'm pleased and honored to be here, and a unique opportunity to present 2 of my former players. And they're great people, and I want to talk to a little bit about their relationship as friends from childhood, and the reason we're getting them in together. First, I want to do my thank yous. I want to thank my grandparents and parents and my teachers and coaches. If not for them, I wouldn't be here. I'd also like to thank AFA President Dave Birch, the board and selection committee. They did a great job understanding why we need to get these guys in together. And congratulations to all the 2014 inductees. It's a great group. I would be remiss if I didn't name my own schools. I was an All-American at the University of Nevada, and I played with the San Jose Tigers, and we won a national championship by beating the Shreveport Steamer in 1977. A little bit about these gentlemen. These guys became friends in 4th grade. They played Pop Warner together, high school, college, semi-pro together. They are godparents for the other one's children. They were best man at each other's wedding. They have a tremendous background and friendship. Their families are very close. And one thing I loved hearing was when Brian and his lovely wife Marla were getting married, and Jose was given the toast. He said, "Remember, Marla," and he was talking about their friendship, and he wanted to make sure she knew that they had a long history and they're going to be friends for a long time in the future. He said, "Hey, remember, Brian had his hands under my booty before he touched yours." And just like that, everybody just cracked up at the wedding, and to put a little light touch on it. I don't know, I didn't get a chance to see his stats, but I'll just gloss over them real quick, and then let the guys come on up here. Brian played 9 years semi-pro for the Central Coast Barnstormers, and all as a starting quarterback. While quarterback for the Central Coast Barnstormers, he was named MVP 6 times, made All-League all 9 years, was All-American in 06 and 09. He was a league MVP in 09 for the NCFL. As a starting quarterback, Brian accumulated a 70% winning percentage in his 9-year career with a total record of 73-31, with a team record for total passing yards and well over 12,000 yards and 250 touchdown passes. The other thing about Brian is he was also, and you guys talked about all the intangibles about playing the game. Why we play it. It's about heart, desire, and that's one thing I wanted to bring up, is that it's not just stats. It's about what they mean to the team and their community. Brian was also team captain and the consummate quarterback. He named his son, who's here, Cadence. So with that, let me introduce Brian Smith.
Good evening. Truly honored to be here in front of all of you and all of the individuals who have came before me. I'd like to congratulate the class of 2014 as well. I'd like to thank Dave Birch and the AFA and the board members there for having such a wonderful and recognizable event. One of the experiences that my family were able to have here the last 2 days is we're in the shop here at the Hall of Fame, and Anthony Munoz is in there, and Coach Clapham runs over, grabs a Bengal ball, and Anthony Munoz signs it to my son, Cadence, and it was just an amazing experience for him at such a young age, and one of the main reasons why I wanted to bring him here tonight. I grew up in a diehard Oakland Raider family. That could be taken several different ways now. But during the 80s, 70s, and 80s, they were a tremendous powerhouse team. I had the time the last couple days to spend in the Hall of Fame with guys like Marcus Allen and Freddie Biletnikoff and Art Shell and Teddy Hendricks. And it was an amazing, amazing experience. When the Raiders weren't on, I was probably sneaking into the other room, though, and I was watching the other team from the Bay. And I wasn't watching them as a team, but I was watching a specific individual, and it's kind of cliche here that he's over my shoulder, but I modeled, and I wanted to be just like him. I wanted to be like the great Joe Montana. I enjoyed watching how calm he was, how poised he was, his presence with it, not only football in the pocket, but with his fellow teammates. I teach today holding a vertical ball just like that for all my quarterbacks, because when I was out in the yard with one of my best friends, David Kaplansky, I would replicate that, and we would throw 100 balls, 200 balls, 300 balls, and we would perfect routes, and we would just work that work ethic that Joe Montana had as well. I'd like to thank several people throughout my Pop Warner and high school career as well. I would have not had the success I did without these individuals. Coach Romaldo Martin, I thank you greatly for being a disciplinarian, for being a motivator, for instilling a work ethic that I still believe in today and I carry with me every day at work. I'd like to thank Kevin Higgins, Coach Kevin Higgins. He was all about how to improve your play. He was all about grit. He was all about perseverance and what it means to persevere during difficult times. Some high school coaches, Coach Bruce Corbett, Rick Dukes, Ray Maritini, Dale Falcone, all played an integral role of me maturing in this game. And I thank them deeply for that. That was a time in my life where I was able to hold my teammates accountable, but more importantly, hold myself accountable for my actions on and off the football field. It was the winter of 1999. I just came home. I was a Chico State Wildcat graduate, one of the top party schools in the nation. I was able to earn a degree from there, and I'm reading through the ads in the newspaper, and sure enough, it says, semi-pro football players wanted. I pick up the phone and I call the very first person that I knew would want to play this game. He's a fellow inductee, my best friend, 2014 Hall of Fame center, Jose Rodriguez. And he was still in Chico. And sure enough, he drives down the entire spring. And that starts off an amazing relationship beyond our high school days, beyond college days. The next 9 years of my life, I will carry those wonderful memories forever, just like I will tonight with all of you. The practices, the games, the drives to and from the games. Coming home from the games is a little better than going to the games. The passion for winning was like no other. 2000 to 2002, we barely field teams. We would travel and play with 23 guys, finish the game with 17 guys. And we'd be able to put it on some teams that we probably shouldn't have because we prepared. We prepared for the love of the game. From 2003 to 2009, the Central Coast Barnstormers were larger than life. And no, we weren't the Miami Hurricanes, but we were very close to an old school Alabama team or a Nebraska team where we would pound the ball at defenses until they bled. To that, I owe credit to my linemen, Jose, number 1, Joffrey Longoria, Big Sam, Jason Russell, Brian Cortez, David Crandall, Joey Eubanks, Ralph Jensen. All played an integral part of allowing me to control the offense. I loved tempo. We got in and out of cadences every play. The defense could never get a key on us. It allowed me to play with a high level of energy and still maintain some poise. My coaches at that level, Norm Cabani, Jeff Borges, Dave Clapham, they prepared us to look as professional and as complex as an offense that you would see in our leagues. There's a gentleman up here earlier, Bob, and he talked about what football does to people. We lost a semifinal overtime match in 2003. We lost a semifinal match to the Daly City Renegades, who would go on to be the national champions that year in 2005. In 2004, we lose another opening round playoff game. So we learned to fight through things and to overcome and to persevere. And it wasn't until 2006 and 2007 where we were able to enjoy our successes and our hard work. I want to say thank you to several people here, people who made me better as a player, and they were my teammates: Derek D-Train Morrison, Tommy Jimenez, Arvin Silvestri, Rigo Munoz, David Giddens, and obviously my center, Jose Rodriguez, for taking care of things at the line of scrimmage. My family at home, my sister and brother-in-law, who made every single game as much as possible. My 2 nieces, who are my biggest fans, Emily and Maddie. I thank you. My parents, my mother, my father. They're not here tonight, but I know they're here in spirit. They're watching. My dad, you are my hero. You are my hero. My mom, she was very supportive in every single thing I did, whether it was right or wrong, in education and going to college and playing football. I love you. To the love of my life, my wife, Marla, you're my rock. Those are 8 long years every spring, because I coach in the fall, so we were going back to back. Your shoulders are way bigger than mine. Her words of wisdom to me: don't force it. Don't force it. Let the game come to you. And it came very natural to me, and I'm very thankful for that. Last but not least, to my son Cadence. I brought you here this week in hoping that you fall in love with the game the way I did. I'll expose this game to you as much as possible. May the football gods watch over you, watch your every step and guide you respectfully, appreciating and admiring this beautiful sport. that we call football. Thank you all very much.
Well, sorry, Jose, but I've only got 10 seconds left. And he said it all anyway, so I will be brief. You know, offensive linemen don't have stats, so there's nothing to, but I'll tell you what, if you're an offensive line coach, this is the guy that you want to start your engine, your club. Just, the first time his wife saw him play football, Liza came up to me at halftime, and her eyes got big, and she said, "Coach, he's an animal." And I said, "Well, yeah, and he'll like that too. Go ahead and tell him." So anyway, you've got his stuff there. I've got just a couple lines to say. He played 14 years center. He's like a guy that never misses a game. He played like 164 games. He missed one for an injury and a couple other ones for family, gatherings that he had to be at. So he was a player, but then he also became the owner of the team. And like we said, the intangibles that he brings. He's, again, captain. They're irreplaceable. Leadership, passion, guidance. Need I say more? No. I want him to be able to say a couple words. He's a tremendous young man, and actually these two guys are better people than they are football players, and that's a testament to their character. Okay? Thank you very much. Here's Jose.
This is going to be short and sweet because my quarterback obviously gets all the limelight. First and foremost, let me thank David Birch and the AFA committee for putting on this great event. I'm truly very honored. It's pretty cool. I need to thank my family, my wife, just for being, very supportive and allowing me to play the game that I truly love. Thanks to my coach, because this is again a great honor, and I'm very humbled, and I'm having trouble talking, which is rare, very rare. But when you're done playing football, a little part of you, kind of dies. You don't get. I'm not going to get that feeling no more of suiting up and just getting ready to play the game. I'm not going to get that feeling, when I strap on my shoulder pads, put my helmet on, and look outside the cage of my helmet, look across the field and see this guy over there that wants to kick my butt. It ain't gonna happen. So a little part of me dies, and it was hard, but thanks to my coach, the rest of you guys, I get to live forever here. I'm very grateful. Thank you very much, and thank you.
Jose gets the award for the shortest speech. So I'll meet you for drinks afterwards. Our next inductee, our 15th inductee, is Keith Dolman, presented by Chaz Brown. And on deck's going to be Joe Hall with his presenter, Rick Sager. So, Chaz, come on up, buddy. I've seen you run faster than that. Come on.
Good evening. My name is Chaz Brown, 2010 inductee, and I want to congratulate the 2014 inductees. You guys belong here. It's a wonderful evening. It's your evening, so I'm going to make this short and sweet. Yay! There's a connection here. I started playing in 1969 and won a championship, and I ended my career playing in 1978. With the championship. This young man here, he's 12 years my junior, that's why I call him a young man. He came into the league, he was a cornerback. I was a safety. Believe it or not, that was about 200 pounds ago, but I played safety. Anyway, we're playing a game one night, and I told Keith, this wide receiver over here has a knack for cheap shotting people. I said, so keep your eye on him, man. So if he cracks back on me, let me know he's coming. Well, Keith broke into the league. He had these white spikes on and these armbands. I mean, he was looking cool. But you're out there on the football field to protect yourself and protect your teammate. Well, that wide receiver cracked back on me, and all I saw was stars. Keith runs over and asks me if I'm all right. We jog off the field together, and I'm sitting on the bench. Keith sits beside me, and he says, you all right, man? I said, if you don't get the hell away from me, didn't you see that man cracking back on me? You were supposed to tell me that. The irony is, all these years after I stopped playing, and Keith became a referee, well, he became a midget referee. I coached in the midgets, and I was on him every game. Doman, what the hell are you looking at? Then he became a high school referee. Well, I became a high school coach. And Doman was refereeing games, and I was on him. Doman, what the hell are you looking at? Then he became a semi-pro referee. And for 10 years, I was a semi-pro coach. And of course, Keith Doman was the white hat, the man in charge. Every game he did for us, I was on him. Doman, what are you looking at? Man, you need glasses. He never said a word. Never said a word all those years. So now tonight, I just want Doman to know that it was worth me asking him what he was looking at, because it got him to where I believe he needs to be. And that's here amongst all you semi-pro Hall of Famers. Because Keith, you're a semi-pro Hall of Famer. Keith Doman.
I promise to be brief as well. Thank you, Chaz, for that introduction. This is truly a great honor for me. I'm humbled by this induction. Football has been a continuous part of my life for 42 years now. I've been involved in organized football. As a player, coach, and now 20 years as an official, I've been doing this. After playing midget football as a kid, high school football as a teen, and semi-pro football for 15 years, I assumed it was going to be an easy transition to officiate. After all, I knew the game, I'd learned it over those years. I was wrong. My first game, it was at the youth league level. They called them midgets back then, now they're youth league people. And it was a play that the kid broke loose. It was at the end of the game, pretty much. Second string was in. Kid broke loose, ran around the corner for a sweep. I'm right with him, going down the field. I'm looking good. We get down there. I stop, blow my whistle, and in perfect form go up for the touchdown. Problem was I was at the 10-yard line. The old inadvertent whistle, and for any officials in here, that's the worst sin you can create. So I learned rather quickly that there was a lot to learn. I thought maybe that officiating wasn't for me, but I did stick with it because I enjoy football, and here I am today. I would like to thank the American Football Association, Dave Birch, for inducting me. I'd like to thank Chaz for not only nominating me, but for sharing his knowledge of the game with me. I would like to acknowledge and thank, he's not here today, but Jim Bard, who is a fellow AFA Hall of Fame official, for his guidance and constructive criticism when it was needed. I'd like to thank my fellow officials who I worked with over the years. And last but not least, I'd like to thank my wife, Theda Dolman. I'd like to thank her for her patience, a lot of patience, her love, her commitment to help me make this work, and her support. I love you. You're the most important person in my life. Again, I would like to thank the American Football Association for this honor, and thank you.
After 34 years of officiating myself, I can count on one hand that I've seen an official and a coach hug just a little while ago. That was a beautiful sight. I love you both. Next inductee is Joe Hull, presented by Rick Sager. On deck is going to be Brian Allen with his presenter, Brian Allen Jr. So, Rick, come on up.
Good evening, everybody. I've been given the distinct pleasure to introduce this next inductee. Mr. Hall's name was brought forth by some AFA Hall of Famers, namely Dave Fleck, Tom Manny, and Mike Gallio. What's unique about this is these guys weren't his teammates, they were his opponents. And they only get to see him once a season, maybe twice, sometimes 3 times if the postseason worked out. That's a testament to Joe's ability on the field, that you're being recognized by the people that played across the line of scrimmage from you. I can add some credence to that. I faced Joe twice a week at practice for the whole season, and it wasn't much fun in practice because he worked just as hard in practice as he did in those games. By Joe's own admission, he had a running style much like the late Walter Payton. Joe could run the middle with power, always square to the line of scrimmage, and legs pumping like the pistons of a diesel engine. If you were fortunate enough to get a hit on Joe, sometimes you were going backwards and hanging on for dear life while Joe was squirming for that first down or the ultimate touchdown. He also had the speed to get to the outside and catch the edge, shift into overdrive, and head downfield, making sure that all those defenders had to have good angles and really needed to take him low. And that's where Joe earned his nickname. He'd simply jump over and, without losing any momentum, continue on, leaving you as the defender grasping for air. There must be something in the genes with the Halls. He's got a son, Joe, all-star linebacker for the Troy Fighting Irish. Daughter Lauren, who plays center and defensive tackle for the New York Knockouts of the Independent Women's Football League. And as you can see up here on the board, he's a recipient of many team and league awards and is truly deserving of tonight's induction as a Hall of Fame running back. But for anybody that's ever known him, Joe's also considered a Hall of Fame friend. So table 16, you ready? Without any further eloquence, I proudly present Jumpin' Joe Hall.
No, I'm good. You're too kind, Rick. I love you, man. Good evening, everybody, all you beautiful people out there. I just want to say to my family, my brothers and sisters back home and across the country that couldn't be here tonight, that I love you very much, and I know you're here in spirit. And I want to thank my family that's here tonight also. I love you also very much. Especially 3 people I want to thank tonight that's here. I want to thank my cousin Benny. He came in from Georgia for this ceremony. I love you. Thank you. I haven't seen him in years. My friend, he's like a brother to us. He used to come over to my mother's house all the time, hanging out with my brothers and them. He lives in Ohio. Haven't seen him in years. Randy Hall. Glad you're here too, brother. And my childhood friend. We grew up together, slept at my house all the time, ate my mother's food, made him late for school all the time. He's also a Hall of Famer. He will be in this Hall of Fame someday. He played for the Glove City Colonials along with me. He flew in from Florida. Kevin Prietti. Rick wrote out a speech for me because I'm the most sentimental man in the world. And he kept saying, don't cry, but we're going to write out a speech and put it in big letters so you can see it. But I don't know how good that's going to be. But bear with me anyways. Good evening, everyone. I have to thank Dave Fleck, Tom Manning, Mike Elio, and Rick Sager for all the work they did to get me nominated to the Hall of Fame. Thank you to Dave Birch and the board of the AFA for accepting me into the great fraternity. I am truly humbled and honored. A special thanks to my uncle Stan Leslie, who spent hours in the library copying newspaper articles, and with my sisters, Pat and Kelly, put those together in a portfolio to submit in support of my nomination. Thanks to my mom and dad, who passed away 3 years ago, and I know he would have been proud to have been here tonight. My mom supported me throughout my career. Mom was a true football fan who made it to every game she could and is here this evening as well. Love you, Mom. And to my brothers and sisters who are also my teammates and supporters, all my brothers and sisters out there, thank you. I would like to recognize my wife, Roseanne, who myself and my kids had to convince because she was always going to the Pop Warner games or my games or whose ever game 2, 3, 4 days a week. But we got her twisted around and she came to see where we were coming from. She has a sign in our house that says, "We interrupt this family for football season." So we got her to think our way. I want to thank my sons, Joey, Ryan, and my daughter, Lauren, who are very excited and proud of my being inducted into the Hall of Fame. I would not be here today if it wasn't for the guys who blocked and opened holes for me. And without them, this would not be possible. I need to recognize the coaches that we had. Don Benton, Jack Solecki, John DeRica, and Frank Mayfield, and the entire Colonial family. Far too many to mention tonight for the privilege to play for such a great team. And lastly, to the fans who packed Knox Field and made the road trips to support us. In closing, thank you again to all who made this possible, and congratulations to the rest of the AFA class of 2014. Thank you, everybody. Love you.
What's the old saying, saving the best for last? We have 2 more inductees, which we're very proud to bring into the AFA. So it's going to be Byron Allen and get 1 or 2 of the sons. Looks like 2 of them. And then, of course, on deck is going to be Ken Washington with, of course, Keith Ballard doing the introductions. Just quickly, at the end of Keith's introduction, we will go ahead and announce the winners of the sports memorabilia. So Rhonda and Jim, if you can get that paperwork, it's already up here, great. And then we'll also be drawing the 50-50 raffle before we take all of our pictures over here on the left side. So just kind of keep that in mind. The Allen brothers, come on up.
Where do I begin? What words can I use to describe the man that stands before us. A man that has been so motivating and instrumental in the lives of others. A man whom me and my brother adore, respect, and love. A man who is much more than the award that has been bestowed upon him. A man whom we call Dad, but to everyone else he is known as B.A. We are told by so many that our dad was a great football player and that as a speedy yet powerful running back who could run around you or run through you, he helped revolutionize the game as we know it today. Today, so many people struggle to find people that can inspire them and lend a gracious hand in helping them succeed in their endeavors. But me and my brother are very lucky because all the motivation we need is sitting right next to us. So with that being said, we would like to introduce to you our mentor, our motivation, our dad, Mr. Byron Allen Seal.
Took everything in me not to cry. I want to thank God first, because without him, I just want to thank him for blessing me with all the gifts he gave me to do the special things I did in this game. I want to thank the selection committee for believing that I am worthy of this honor. I want to thank my mom and my younger brother who are no longer with us. God bless their soul. I know they're looking down, smiling at me right now. My older brother and younger sister who are still here and they're watching, couldn't make it today, but I love them just as much. I had a lot of friends and family that were not able to make it here, but I have these two blessings right here, and that's all I needed. I have a very good childhood friend of mine who did make it, Brian Hebert. Thank you so much for coming, man. It means a lot. Thank you. I'm not gonna be as long as my quarterback was. I timed him. He was he was exactly 5 minutes and 13 seconds long. But just receiving this honor at the same time with him is an honor and a blessing in itself. And man, we started this journey together, and here we are. Here we are. His family is just like my family. I love you guys as well. Thank you. Again, thank you to the AFA. I feel truly blessed. This is a very important honor for me. Thank you guys so much. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad I don't have to follow that. That is all yours, Mr. Keith Ballard. Come on up, buddy. Ladies and gentlemen, Keith Ballard, one of our directors.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Keith Ballard. Like he stated, I'm AFA Hall of Fame member 2010. That's a tough act to follow. I was speaking to the guys earlier today, and I tell the guys every time around this year, it's always feel like I'm getting inducted to the Hall of Fame again. I was flipping through the channels last night. The movie The Wiz came on. That old saying that says, when I think of home, I think of a place where there's love overflowing. But that's how I feel in this room. For all the new inductees, congratulations. You're in the brotherhood that will stand forever. Today I'm going to celebrate the life of a wonderful human being, a guy named Kenny Washington. He's no longer with us. Kenny passed away in the 1970s. And I was flipping through the internet, and I saw the Pro Football Hall of Fame website. And one of the sports writers from California was talking about this wonderful guy named Kenny Washington. Earlier today, we celebrated the the excellence and the contribution that our armed forces have made toward this country, where Kenny Washington was a social difference maker. Today we're not going to celebrate his exploits as a football player, but rather what he did to make changes in society. When Kenny played football, times were very different in America. There were some tumultuous times. Fortunately for him, he had this journey of transformation from high school, where he attended UCLA. He teamed with this guy, what is his name? Jackie Robinson. He was teammates with Jackie Robinson, where we played on the football team where guys were rather judged by the content of their character rather than the color of their skin. The guy was a great football player. He was the first All-American at UCLA. He was a scholar athlete. He had his number retired from UCLA. In 1939, he graduated from UCLA. I think when Jackie Robinson and Kenny Washington met, I didn't think they probably ever thought that it was going to make a difference in society. Both guys were social difference makers. When they graduated from college in 1939, they went their separate ways. Of course, we know the story about Jackie Robinson having broken the color barrier. But Kenny Washington made a difference in his own way. The NFL wasn't ready for what he was about to bring to the table, so the guy spent 7 years in semi-pro football. He played with San Francisco Clippers, as well as the Hollywood Bears. And 7 years later, the Los Angeles Rams made Kenny Washington the first African-American football player to sign a contract with the NFL. Kenny Washington, a scholar, he was an athlete, he was a social difference maker. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me join and welcome Kenny Washington to the AFA Hall of Fame 2000 class of 14. Thank you.
Wow. What did I say? Saving the best for last? How about those last two presenters and inductees? Isn't that something? But far more importantly, let me be the very first to present to you your 2014 new inductees to the AFA Hall of Fame. Could you please, all the inductees, stand up? Congratulations, gentlemen. Absolutely fantastic. Okay, we're almost done, believe it or not. And it's only 1:30, so we got plenty of time here. It's actually 11 o'clock, so we're okay. Just very quickly, David's just given me a note that the viewers on the internet webcast is up to 511. We started at 300. Isn't that wonderful that we get that many people willing to watch and wanting to watch? That just tells you what a great organization we all have, and everybody wants to be part of it. So that's great, Dave. That's great news. All right, let me just quickly read, if I can, the winners of the sports memorabilia, or the lowest bidders, I should say. The Mike Ditka autograph photo is Roy Stewart. Is that right? And have all these been paid? They have not. So what you want to do is go over and see Rhonda, Ray Ellen, Jan, and they'll be happy to take your money. Yeah, most women are. You said it, I didn't. Sorry, ladies. That should be a penalty right off the bat. The Bobby Hull jersey, John Burns. Congratulations. The Taylor Swift goes to John Burns. You better bring your checkbook, buddy. Holy smokes. Oh, my God, you're not. The Rudy from Notre Dame. John Burns.
He was in the movie.
Who was?
John Burns was in that movie. He was in the Rudy movie.
John was Rudy?
No.
All right.
He carried him up the field.
Okay, the Aaron Rodgers football, Mary Mason. Gee, John, you're not that one? That's a surprise.
We tried.
All right, Mary gets that one. Sylvester Stallone, Mary Mason, bring your checkbook too. Meet up with John. You guys can team up here. Oh my God, Mary. Who's Mary? Because you've got the Steve Young autograph helmet too. So that's 3 in a row for you. John, you got competition here. The Ernie Banks, I don't need to tell you, where's Brett? Brett's around here somewhere. Brett's got the Ernie. Oh yeah, I've heard that before. Oh, checks in the mail, sure. I'm still looking for your check for the officials for 1989. So pay up. Yeah, oh yeah. We've heard all of that. We'll pay you at halftime, You might as well just stand up there because you also got the Derrick Rose and Joakim Noah photo. The Tony Esposito photo. Brett, stay up there. Take only cash, Jan, for this guy. Holy smokes. Peyton Manning autograph football. Laura Brandroth. Did I pronounce that right? Laura, I'm sure you know who you are. The Dick Butkus autograph jersey. Nick St. John. The Green Bay Packers, Clay Matthews, goes to Dave Clapham. Boy, we did a lot. We sold a lot, Dave. That's wonderful. The Phil Mickelson goes to Pat Killeron. Congratulations. The Dan Marino jersey. This is going to be a tough one. Bailey, T. Bailey. Yeah, close but no cigar. The Brett Favre autograph helmet goes to Dave Clapham. We're almost done, everybody. John Elway jersey goes to Steve Bailey Jr. And last but not least, the 2013 Stanley Cup Chicago picture goes to Sim. You got it, buddy, finally. Congratulations. That's outstanding, everybody, for you all to participate as much as you did. We brought, I think, 30 sports memorabilia items, and I didn't count them, but I'll bet there's 15 or 20 that were sold. And again, all that revenue, once we pay the sports memorabilia company, all goes to the operating budget of the AFA. So thank you very much. Last item is the 50-50 raffle. Unless, Dave, you have anything that you wanted to go over? Rhonda, you certainly can. I'm going to give the certificates to Rhonda. So once again, for those of you that were lucky enough to win, for those of you lucky enough to win, go ahead and see Rhonda and Jan and Jim Krutzowitz over on the table on the right. Can anybody still buy raffle tickets? I mean 50-50? Okay, 50-50 over. Is the apparel still available? So if you'd like any apparel, what is left, because I think we've done pretty well, please, as you're going out, if you need anything, this would be the time to buy it. Dave, do you want to talk at all about the internet sales, to let anybody know about those items? Because I think that was important. Dave just wants to bring up some items that are available on the website that I think are very attractive, that if you don't go on the website, you'd be missing an opportunity here.
Well, one of the other things we've been doing since October, we have an online bidding site, and this is a monthly auction. And right now, I'll bring it up, but it's right now displaying vacation packages. It has sports memorabilia, but we switched it off because we didn't want to conflict with what you see here tonight. So, after you leave, there will be some additional items available on the online bidding site. It's monthly. It's going to run every month for the next year, okay? And it's there's some pretty nice items on there. So in addition to sports memorabilia, there's the electronic stuff, there's trackers, there's kid minders, there's cameras, certificates, vacation packages. There's a vacation package for August, the inductions here at the Hall of Fame. okay? So if you're interested in that, so there's a number of things. The only difference is you're bidding against a lot of other people in the United States. There's 250,000 people coming through this site, okay? So a lot of neat stuff there, and we try to keep it stocked, so it's another opportunity for you, okay? So just wanted to bring you up to speed on that, and I'll pull it up so you can see some of the things cycling through. So you can go ahead next.
Once again, everybody, congratulations to all the new inductees. Congratulations to the alumni. You saw what a wonderful night it was because it's your event. We just help spearhead it and kind of coordinate it, but it's your event. And if you're not proud walking out of this room right now, family members, inductees, alumni, neighbors, friends, relatives, you're missing something after this. Isn't it a wonderful night? And we'll be back here at the Hall of Fame building this time next year, so everybody's certainly welcome to come on and join us. We have a 50-50 to raffle off. Does Caden want to come up or no? We've asked little Cadence to come up to draw the tickets out of the envelope. Ray Ellen, where's on the floor? Perfect. And the grand total to the lucky winner is $367. Isn't that outstanding? So this is Cadence. We've heard him before. He's going to pick out one of the pink tickets. Good job, buddy. Oh, it's mine. Thanks, Cadence. Thanks. We're going to McDonald's. Or better yet, we're going to Disney World. All righty. Thank you, Cadence and Mom. The lucky winner. It's a pink ticket. Yeah, so far so good. 557. Right, how many are still in it? Well, everybody's got to have 557, isn't it? No? Oh, yikes. What's that, Jim? 5570. How many still in it? 29. 557029. Woo! Congratulations. Everybody drive safely. Now remember, we're going to take pictures. We're taking pictures of the new inductees right now. Alumni, stick around so we can take a picture of everybody. God bless you. Thank you for a fun evening, and we'll see you next year.